this Monday 10th of August 2026. So as we can see, we've been bullish from last week, and then we've opened up with the new week opening gap, and we are still going higher. So my interest is this high here. This is the pull-up buy side that I've already annotated. So my interest is also on Friday's high. Let's just annotate that. Even though we've opened up with the new week opening gap above this high here, price is still has an interest to make reference to that high. So there we go. That is Friday's high. So these two price points here are the ones that I'm interested in. This week we've not really opened up with the huge new week opening gap, so it's a very small one, even though it is significant because that's a new week open at 0 GMT. So we're gonna go into the lower time frames and then we're gonna see. So from this price action here, my bias is still bullish. So going into the lower time frames, let's look at a 15-minute. So you can see from Friday's NFP right there at 3:30 my time, that's 8:30 New York. We went higher, made the daily high there, and then we made this retracement lower, taking out anybody who's trying to buy it, and then we went higher again, and then closed high on the day. So we're going to be looking at a daily chart. My interest is on there's a week on the daily chart, so we're going to go there. So meanwhile, I'm interested in higher prices. So I'm going to be looking here at 5-minute, and you can see the 5 minutes we've opened up right here at New York today. It is 764.46 right there. We made this Asian high, and that is interesting to me. We've not gone above it, but price is like it's forming these relative equal highs, and I want to see it trade into that high. That is a buy side. This is the immediate buy side that I'm interested in. Leave alone this high here. It's just that all I'm trying to say is we're gonna trade in the direction of that buy side. So meanwhile, this is the high that I'm interested in, and you can see the new week opening gap here. We're gonna annotate that, but first let me say something about this daily chart and the reason that I'm anticipating for higher prices. So daily chart, you can see we opened up this August here. That is last week on Monday. I think it was 3rd. So we went higher on Tuesday, very huge candlestick here, and then you can see Wednesday we formed this week here after taking out Tuesday's high and an old high, and then we formed these buy-side imbalances and efficiency. I talked about this last week, and then we opened up Friday. We traded into the midpoint of that week. I talked about that, and then we retraced higher and closed with the down close candle. So opened up Friday, we were very bullish, even though I was looking for lower prices at first. We went lower and then traded higher. So my interest on the daily chart is on the midpoint of this week, right there. That is 807.71, I think, the midpoint of that week there. So we're gonna annotate that because that's also an interest. So that is 807.71. That's just above this high here. 7.71. So it's around here. So we're gonna annotate that. We're gonna take this here, and then we're gonna make a copy. It's around that dotted, and that is gray because it's the midpoint of that week, so that is 807.71. That uh, point in price action is very significant. So while we're looking at price and when we're looking at higher prices, we're going to be looking at how price is behaving from past price action. We opened up here 0 GMT with a new week opening gap in regards to where we closed on Friday. Opened up here and then we made this huge run through that new week opening gap, and then we trade higher, and then we had this run into this low here, and then we had this shift higher, and that made this high that I'm interested in. So this was at 3, this 305, that is the macro of Asia. We made a run higher through that new week opening gap, formed that inefficiency there, and then we made again the run through it and took out this low. After I did that, after making out this low, now this low is important to us. Then we made this run higher, inefficiency, by studying balances and efficiency. We went through it, and then we've been trading higher, and we've not made any reference to that inefficiency here. So after we did that, we went higher. We formed another inefficiency here. So my points of interest are these two inefficiencies right there, and we're going to annotate them now. Well, the first one is this one here. I'm gonna make that dark slate gray and get it to 8 right there, and then I'm gonna annotate also this one. So you can obviously see we've gotten our support on that inefficiency right there. We've tried to go higher, and then we opened up right here, midnight New York, and then we've made this run higher. So I want to see it go into this high here, and then eventually trade into the midpoint of that daily chart. So after it has done that, then we're gonna be looking at, does it have an interest to go higher, or do we trade into that high here and then run back into these typical lows here and maybe into this inefficiency? Just because we've done this here doesn't mean that we can miss to go lower. We can, because today is Monday, and Monday has it normally has a tendency to start trading into the current new week opening gap. We saw that on last Monday. So my interest is still on that buy side because we've been trading higher since Friday from NFP. So this is just getting into my head, and there we go. So that's buy side. So I've annotated what we are looking at. I've talked about my buyers and what I want to see in price. So the way we are trading here, we are just going higher, lower, higher, lower, higher, lower, higher, lower. It would be best if price started to trade lower first, and then maybe we can make a run to this high. So if we trade lower, probably below these lows here. So this around this area is 29,560. We have 550 down here. So if it start to make a run lower, we can expect it to run lower below these lows here and then start trade higher. But it can start trade high just immediately after we've done this here, because you can see it has an interest for this price point here together with that buy side there around 800 and 807 level. So this high here, that is this was Friday, Thursday, that's Wednesday's high. If you look at this 1 hour chart again, let's just go back. That is that Wednesday's high. So my interest is on that Wednesday's high together with this Wednesday's mid gap from where we closed, no, from where we opened up right here on Wednesday to that high. That's that midpoint, 807.71. So you can see why I'm interested in that. So again, I've talked about now that we're trading in levels, we're trading higher, went lower, made this run higher, trade back into this inefficiency here, again back into this inefficiency. It could be best if we had something like a retracement before we go higher, because that's what price has been doing. It must not have that retracement, but it could be best if it had one. So we're trading at around 784. Still, price is taking stuff with higher prices, but I'm gonna be patient. So now that I've talked about this new wick opening gap, it's a huge new wick opening gap, so it's significant from this one closed, this closing price is 29,718.36. So from 718 to where we've opened up here, that is 717. That's a lot of handles. So in that case, I'm gonna be annotating that new wick opening gap. So this day we've opened right there, and where we closed. Let's take this back. Now what I'm anticipating is if we take these highs here, if we take out these highs here, and then price starts to trade lower and trades below this inefficiency, then we're definitely going to reach the midpoint of this new wick opening gap. If price does not take this high here, if price does not take this high here and then start trade lower, then it does not necessarily have to reach into the midpoint of this new wick opening gap, because we have this as a premium array, and then we'll start trading into that. But the way it's behaving here, I want to see if it trades into this high here, what does it trade to next, because this new wick opening gap is also a point of interest for price to trade lower to. So that is 744.55. There we go. So we've had this candlestick here open, trade higher, so close to that high, but then it has started again trading lower. So that is significant. So what is it forming here? These are relatively equal highs. They're not exact equal highs, so they're relatively equal. So that is buy side. Not annotated this here. So this is there. So these are relatively equal lows here. So that's also interesting. So if we look at this 15-minute chart, we are bullish. We are bullish in the sense that we're trading higher, we're making higher highs and higher lows. So after we took out this low and this low out right there, we made a huge move higher in the direction of that high. So that's why I'm interested in that high here. So the momentum is bullish. You can see the inefficiency here. Inefficiencies here are supporting higher prices. You can see we traded once into that discount array, went higher. You can see the midpoint of the current new week opening gap. Look at the bodies here. Went outside that new week opening gap, took out that low there, and then we moved higher. Look at how it's moving higher. It's very fast with an inefficiency. So after we move higher, we take out that high, trade back into that inefficiency. You can see the bodies do not go outside that inefficiency. So that's significant also. And then we trade higher, back down into that inefficiency. We did not take out this low here, even not with the wicks. But look at the bodies, they're staying inside that inefficiency. And then we're going higher. So we're trading around that 780 level. So if it does not really go into this inefficiency here at around 740 going to 750s, then we might be very strong and we might be trading into that buy side without even a retracement. But what's more important is we're going to be waiting to see what that 750 candle does. And normally it's a form of manipulation, or it's a move that starts right there. So we're going to be patient. We're going to be waiting for, especially that 750, it's 20 minutes from now. So meanwhile, I'm going to be just talking about what prices does, like I normally talk about, or if you're starting out, what you should be doing is exactly this, talking about what price is going to do, where are the points of interest, where are the inefficiencies, where are the swing highs, where are the swing lows, where are the old highs, all lows, buy side, sell side, and that kind of thing. So I've realized we do not have Friday's high here, so let's annotate that high there. So I'm going to take this here and annotate that Friday's high. So last 3 days highs and lows, they're very significant in price. And this 10. Yeah. So again, that is Friday's high. So we opened up the new week opening gap above Friday's high, traded lower to that new week opening gap. And then we had this move again to the midpoint of that new week opening gap, failed, ran lower, ran high. We got to go lower, took out that low once more. And then we had this move higher that wants to go into that buy side. So I've already talked about what I'm looking for, where I'm expecting price to trade to. Where is my buy side? What are the inefficiencies that I'm looking at? So all that business right here. So this candlestick here is a 15-minute. We opened up and it's trading low. We're trading at 770, 778 now. I said that if we trade into this buy side here, then we'll see a significant move into this current new week opening up and especially that midpoint. And we have sell side here together with the Friday's low right there. If we fail to trade into this buy side here and we start trading lower, then it's best if we go below these lows here and maybe touch that midpoint here and then start trading higher. But if we start trading through the whole of this here, then it might be significant that price trades into this inefficiency down here. But whatever price is doing here is we are trading higher. And now that we moved away from this inefficiency here on the daily chart right here, now that we moved away from that BC, we trade into the midpoint of that BC right there, and then we start moving higher going into NFP on Friday. We're still on higher prices. So this week we have CPI. I think it's on Wednesday. So I'm expecting price action on Wednesday and maybe on Thursday if we'll have PPI to be very interesting and just so good. So we made one down close candle here and it's still like sticking up its nose, trading lower. But we must wait for that macro that comes into the marketplace and then we're gonna see where they'll push it to. So you can see how it's sticking up with lower prices. So let's watch it. We've we've into the new week opening gap. That's why we opened up today. So let's see, I want to see it trade into this inefficiency here and probably trade below these lows. But you can see the buyers were bullish. So we've touched it right there. Now we are pushing higher. All right. Oh, okay. So trading at 775 now. So trading right there at 770, 769. You can see the spread right there from 770 to 770, the 2 points that was spread in this. This is a funded next MT5. And we're doing these trails right now is a demo account. So you can see where we've closed. I want to see it trade into this inefficiency here and then possibly take out these lows here. And by doing this here, I want to see it trade even into the midpoint of that new week opening gap. So I'm not going to sell it. We've already talked about higher prices. So I want to sticking with that buyer. I want to be sticking with that bias, and we're going to be looking at buys after we trade into these lows here and after we trade into the midpoint of this new week opening gap. We're going to be looking at buy scenarios to trade into this buy side in the direction of this buy side. So we've gone through that inefficiency. Very nice. You see, we've gone through below these lows here. That's nice, right? So I talked about if we don't trade into that high, we go below these lows, then we'll be looking for a run into that buy side. So we've got below these lows here. I want to see it trade into this midpoint of this new week opening gap, and then we're gonna look for a buy around that 750 level. So if we do not get a buy on that 750 level, if we just take out these lows here and then start to trade higher, we'll trade into 750 and 780, and then we'll have a buy there. But right now, I'm expecting it to trade into the midpoint of this new week opening gap because these new week opening gaps act as support most of the time. If we trade beyond that midpoint, then my interest is on that gap and we'll be looking for buys around that gap. So let me extend this. Let's 930. Right there. So one thing we've done, or two things here, is we did not take out that buy side. We did not trade into that high. Instead, we made this run lower, and more significantly, we've traded below these lows. Interest is on this gap here now that we are inside this gap here. I did not annotate the midpoint of that gap, so let's look at that. That's the mid gap. That's the midpoint of that gap. And that's that. That's supposed to be dark gray. And extend this also out to around 9. And look at now what this has done. What is this running after? Higher. So we've gone through that, taken out all the sell side here. We've ran outside that inefficiency. So what's most significant is where we close here and what we trade in the next 745 candle. So because it has done this here, my interest now is on that buy side. So I'm interested in how the next candlestick here opens and where it trades into. We can open and trace through that whole week here. I've talked about this concept of these weeks before, and it can absolutely do that. You can open up here and trade lower once more and then maybe trade higher later. So trading at 770 now, after trading even into this candlestick low, is the low here is 749.93. So I talked about that 750 level. We just went so fast into that. Even if I had a limit order at around 750, it could have still not have been filled because that was fast. And then we moved from 750 to 770 in under that 5 minute candlestick, very fast. So we're interested in this candle here. We've opened up here. You can see where it is sticking up is no into. So my interest is around buying that 80 level. So we're going to be a buy of that 80 level. So we bought that 80 level and we're expecting higher prices. After we ran lower through that inefficiency, we've ran this relative equal lows out. Now I'm expecting higher prices because we are bullish and I'm expecting that buy side here to be ran into. I was expecting that 750 candlestick to do all this work here, run lower into this relative equal lows here, but it has done before 750. And I said it would not run into this buy side here, and instead we run into these lows here, then we'll be having higher prices if we run these lows out here before we run into that buy side. So we've taken a step at that 780 level. So I'm anticipating higher prices. So the bias is bullish. Now we've ran sell side here. This was one point of interest. So everybody who could be chasing it higher here, they got trapped inside with this candlestick here. They wanted to see it run to that high, but it failed. So instead, what does it do? Run lower, take out sell side first, and then now we can have higher prices. So once again, bias is bullish. We've had our manipulation here, trading lower into the new weak opening gap here together with these relative equal lows here first, and now we are anticipating what? That high. I like the way we opened up this candlestick here and touched that new week opening gap open, that open right there, and then we had this push higher. That's so nice. I was expecting this candlestick here to open up and then start trade through this week, but instead it opened up here. We touched and then this push higher. So that is pointing to one direction, higher prices, and we have the buy side there. So another thing, you can see how we behaved with this inefficiency here. We did not close on it, we closed away from it. So that is supporting also the narrative of higher prices. So we are retracing back lower, 770, back into that week. That's just not something that I'd expect. So that is 10 points drawdown. So we have that 1 minute, and then that 750 is going to come into the marketplace. That's the first macro. So I'm expecting them to push it into these highs here. So we've closed with another week with this candlestick here. So I'm expecting that price to open and run through that week. I don't really expect it to start running lower and start trading into this week. No. I know that we have this swing low here. I want to see that it's a gap. I want to see it stay open, and I want to see higher prices. So we've had those 10 points go down here, and now we're trading higher. We're 779 now, around that 780 level once again. So another thing going here is we've ran through this week here, and now that is confidence building that we're gonna run that high there, these highs. So honestly, normally I don't really like trading in front of this macro here, that 750 macro. I normally like to let it come into the marketplace and then trade later. So today I've jumped in front of that macro here just because we ran below these lows here. And now I'm expecting price to run to that buy side because the manipulation aspect of price has already happened. So we've made our way into this high here. We've not still taken out that high. And you can see the rejection still here. But I'm still anticipating higher prices. Another retracement lower into this inefficiency here. This is something that I would not really anticipate. So from 880 to 860, 20 points drawdown. No, something that I would not like. So I'm gonna close this 1 hour in the next 4 minutes. So let's see whether we'll find support on this inefficiency here, or price will have an interest to trade into this midpoint of this new week opening gap. So we've not yet taken this buy side, so still price is trying to make this an area of interest for facilitation of higher prices later on. So we move back into this inefficiency. So this is another this 20 points drawdown. This candlestick here has opened and the low is 758. So from 780 to 758 around that's 760. Those are 20 points worth of a drawdown. So this price action here, the way I talked about that we're trading lower and then we go higher, lower we go higher, buying it on these highs here and buying it in front of this 750 macro is not really a great idea, because this macro here, now that it's behaving like this here, we're back into this wick here and together into this inefficiency here. Now it's giving me the idea that it wants to trade into the midpoint of this new wick opening gap, and that is that's 744. So I like it the way it is pressing just higher prices. I want to see it close on the upper portion of that inefficiency, and maybe we'll see higher prices. But it might run into the midpoint of this new wick opening gap fast and then start trade higher. So we are below 1 minute, and then we're gonna start a new 15-minute candlestick, a new 5 minute, and then we're gonna be seeing where they will take it into. Now, if we open up and then start trading lower still, I'll be out of this trade here and maybe look for a buy later on. But if we open up and then start pressing higher, that'll be nice, and I'll be waiting for those higher prices. It would be best if we had higher prices that go above that buy side and then maybe look for a run lower into this new week opening gap. So there we go, we've opened up this new 1 hour. So if you look at this 1 hour chart here, so you can see the aspect of higher prices. We had this run higher here. We're spending a lot of time here, like 1 to 3 hours, very, very small candlestick here. And now let's see whether they will get it into those highs. So we've gone through that deficiency here. We've not reached into the low of this week. So let's see whether they'll still push it into this buy side. So now that we've got this retracement here, a couple of down close candles here, 1 2 3 4, it's just right to expect it to start trading higher now. If it gives up the ghost and start trade lower back into this week, and especially the midpoint of that week, then we will entirely be wrong. So we're up there at 775 now. So we're back up at 780s. That's 782 now. So I think we've made a point here. We ran lower through these lows here, made this run higher and was buying it right there. And then we've made a very huge, again, retracement back into this inefficiency here, but you can see price has not really any interest of closing even on that inefficiency. So I want to see it run into that buy side. So we've made this run lower here, and then you can see the movement higher here. So from 780s, I want to see it run into above this high here, and it will be very important how it runs that high out. Then from there we can know whether we are going to trade a lot more higher, or we're going to run again into these lows. So that's very nice. So that is 897. So we've touched 97. So I wanted to see it run into so 780s, 790, 800s, and we've not touched 800. So that's very nice. So that buy side is out. So from these lows here, if anyone went long inside let's say 770s, so 780, 790, that could have been a very nice run high. So from that buy side is 790. Maybe look for buy at 770. That's a very nice run on buy side. So you can get that 20 points. So it's not necessarily I trade 780s. That's something that I wanna work on. And in the future we'll be looking for, if we have this buy side here around that 790 level, then I'll be looking for a buy at 770 so that we can have 20 point facilitating that move. So we're trading higher, we're trading at 796 now. I want to see it run to 800s, and then that's gonna be it for the 20 points that I'm looking for. So this is this macro that came into price. So from 750 we opened up right there, had this run higher, then we have this again another Judas swing run lower here, and now we've ran above that buy side nicely. And it's very important how we run that buy side out, because we can have price retrace lower and trade into this new week opening gap midpoint here. So that's a very nice run higher. Normally I could be out of price because it has done this here, but I'm looking for it to trade into 800. Let's just put a limit order at 800 to facilitate that 20 points, and then we're gonna call it a session. So we've just started the week. I don't want to stay here and make this Monday video a long one. We're gonna just get that, and then that's gonna be it. So we've got a 20 points drawdown. So from where I went into price here, inside this candlestick here, that was 780. So price traded down into this candlestick slow, and this candlestick slow is 758. So that is 58 to 68 to 70. That is 22 points worth of a drawdown. So my entries here, I'll be looking for better entries into the future. Like you can see how I talked about how price is trading here. Goes lower, goes higher. The bias is bullish, yes, but we go lower, we go higher, we go lower, we go higher. So we must have something like a significant move higher. I mean, a significant move lower, just a retracement, and then we move higher. And this happened right here. So from where we opened up at midnight, it ran higher, and then we had this here. Immediately we had this move lower below these lows here. Then that was my trigger, and then I went in long looking for that buy side. So we had this retracement lower here, and then now this candlestick has opened. We've had that run higher. So next time I want to be working still on my entries, and I want to be looking for a run to buy side at least. That is 790, and at 770 an entry will have been very nice. There's an entry around here on top of that open for today. That could have been very nice. So instead I have to wait for that price here to run into 800 to facilitate that 20 points. So I forgot to take this screenshot, but let's wait until it goes above that 700 level, and then we're gonna be done. So we've gotten so close into that level. That high is 799. You see that? 799.46. So close to 800.64. So if we go above that high here, that would be very nice. But for now, let's just take this screenshot. And actually the fact that we've gone higher. And with the fact that we have that level there, that's why I'm expecting price to run into that 7.71. That midpoint of that Wednesday's high. So we're trading at 796 now. That's 797. So we've gotten so close. This high is 99, still 0.96. There we go. So we've traded into that 800 level. So we've touched 801 and have been filled with 20 points. So my point of interest is the midpoint of this Wednesday's week. That is 807.71. So we're gonna go there. So if I could have had a trade on above this buy side here, that is 790s, 770. I've talked about that. So if I could have had a trade at 770, and that's the on the top of this new week opening gap right there, then I could have had comfortably those 20 points to there, and then maybe wait for price to run into that high. So we've gone into the direction of that level there. That has been beautiful. So we're trading at 802 now after we've gone higher at 803. So very nice run higher. The buyer still works. Bullishness still in place, and I'm not gonna be staying here for long. So I'm gonna make sure that that's really it. We've had the first macro here. That's the only thing that I'm gonna talk about, and then I'm gonna close this up. The macro here came in at 750 right there, and you can see the decline here. I was not really interested that it could make a lot of impact because we'd already run these lows here and then started to trade higher. And most importantly, we did not close inside that inefficiency. So that is bullishness. So higher, there's inefficiency here, and then you can see the run higher into that buy side. Beautiful price delivery this morning. So that's really it until tomorrow. We'll do this again. I'm going to take a few screenshots and then we're going to be done with this here. That's another one. So that's really it until tomorrow. Adios.